It's another Monday, and the tracker here with me, Benjamin Nketia. In midweek, outstanding performances from Ghanaian players. Who am I talking about? Kojo Asamoah doing his bit in the Champions League. Guess what? We are going to spend time discovering where your favorite players have been hiding in this episode. Yes, there are Ghanaian players playing their football in Thailand. Yes, you heard me, Thailand. It's not all about rice production. It's about football sometimes, and it's Premiership football as well. Daniel Koranteng is here with me as we go through this episode of The Tracker. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ben.
Yes, like I said, players are playing all over the place these days, and I'm talking about none other than DOMINIC ADIYIAH. That's where we want to start off today. And DOMINIC ADIYIAH, these days, he plays his football in Thailand in the Thai First Division. He scored the winning goal for his team, KASSIM, when they won over the weekend. Now, once upon a time, he was supposed to be the guy. We started talking about him in the vein of Asamoah. Was he going to be the successor? What happened to DOMINIC? This is what, his fourth season, for those who don't know, in the Thai First Division.
Well, for me, DOMINIC ADIYIAH, you look at the 2009 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Obviously, he was the player of the tournament there. He won the Goal King Award. He was fantastic in that tournament. The likes of Majeed Warris, Ayew. That team was like the team that was going to take over the Black Stars in the future. Obviously, most of them made the 2010 squad that qualified for the quarterfinals. ADIYIAH was even in the Black Stars squad. He missed his penalty against Uruguay. But I think with a lot of these young players, when they shine at these youth tournaments, it's the next decision that you take. And for me, that decision to move straight to AC Milan for me was a bad one. I don't think he was ready to take up that huge challenge. And obviously, we know what happened from them. It's been downhill from them. But it's just nice to know that he's still scoring goals. Maybe it may not be at the most elite football league in the world. But
he scored 10 goals last season.
Yeah, and he scored again.
This is his first goal of the season.
First goal of the season. But it's not the most glamorous league. But just nice to know that a player we once used to love, and everybody wanted to know what next for him. At least he's getting some goals in Thailand. But it will be nice to see. He's just 28 years old. It will be nice to see him hopefully get a move back to maybe mainstream Europe. It's very difficult for him to get a move back to a top team. But just to see him in one of the good leagues in Europe, maybe the leagues like Bulgaria or even Hungary, just get straight back into Europe, and we'll see what next for him. But for Thailand, come on, I don't think that's a place somebody who wants to be earning a Black Stars call-up should be playing. Well,
for you out there, let's know what you think about DOMINIC ADIYIAH and his exploits in the Thai Division 1 playing for KASSIM. You never know. You never know. He might just pop up again. The form might be good enough again to earn him a move to mainstream Europe, like Daniel said. And who knows? A Black Stars calling might never be too late. He's just, 28 years of age, so there's still a lot of time for him. Now, another player who has threatened to change nationality is Latif Blessing. He plays his football these days for Los Angeles FC, and he opened his account when his team, Los Angeles FC, played Real Salt Lake. They won that game by 5-1. So that's his first goal of the season already, and he's no striker. But Dan, quickly talk to us about his transition to the MLS and his inability to break into the national team and the threats he's made about possibly switching nationality to become American.
As to why he has not yet received the Black Stars call-up, only Coach Kwesi will know, because all sorts of players and all kinds of players have made his call-up since he became Black Stars.
And Kwesi has been touring the MLS a lot, giving Division 2
players bringing all sorts of players in from very unknown players. But we've seen, for Latif Blessing, we've seen him in the Ghana Premier League firsthand. He went to Sporting Kansas. He did very good in last season's campaign, and obviously he's joined LAFC this season, started the season very well. I think his start is very important, because if you look at the LAFC squad, they have some very good players in it. Most notably in attack, they have Carlos Vela, and to be able to compete with a player like Carlos Vela, you need to hit the ground running, and he's done exactly that. Got his first goal of the season. So these kind of starts will put something in the coach's mind that this guy can actually do something for me when he comes in. I think his transition into American football also helped in terms of the MLS, because he didn't go straight into the MLS. Sporting Kansas plays in the USL. That's like the second division. So he's already had a feel of the culture, the feel of the football before transitioning into the MLS. So for me, I think he'll be a big hit this season for LAFC. But I think he really needs to get a call up to the Ghana Black Stars, because we really don't want to miss out on a player like this. We've already seen a situation like this with Kingsley Safo, who almost chose Sweden ahead of Ghana, but for the timely intervention of Kwesi Appiah. So Kwesi Appiah knows that these things can happen. He really needs to step in and just give this guy a call up, Latif Blessing, a call up for the Black Stars.
Let's stay on the issue of the Black Stars bit for a while. I mean, talking about Latif getting a Black Stars call up, who do you think he easily comes in to replace, or what position does he slot into once he gets that call up?
The attacking lineup of the Black Stars in recent years, there has been some very huge faults, and obviously that's a place in the team that needs serious reboosting in terms of that position. We've seen the likes, obviously Asamoah Gyan is in his finishing days. He's not somebody that we can rely on going into the future. The likes of Boakye Yadom and Dramina have come in, but they've not yet cemented their
Latif is not typically a striker.
He's not typically a striker, but he can get you goals. He's a creator. And in modern day football, these type of players can easily transition. A perfect example is Firmino. He's not the traditional number 9, but he can make shift. And Latif Blessing is somebody who can actually do that for you, as well as create goals and score them too. So for me, this is a part of the team, as I said, that needs a lot of people. We need to try out a lot of people to know who exactly we are going forward with. And with Latif Blessing, I think he ticks all the boxes for me. And if I was Black Stars coach, I would have given him a call-up long time ago.
Well, it looks as if that Blessing call-up is long overdue. Let's talk about Jordan Ayew, a player that you admire very much. 11th minute, he was sent off for Swansea in what a lot of people feel was a 50-50 opportunity. I don't know what you made of that red card for starters, but it looks as if Swansea cannot win when Jordan is not in action.
He's been their best player this season. Let's face the facts, their best player this season. And especially since Carlos Carvajal came into this team, his form has greatly improved for the team. It's not just the goals that he adds, his off-the-ball movements and his ability to work hard for the team. He's always going into tackles, and exactly what he did on Saturday. For me, it wasn't a red card on any day. It was a 50-50 challenge. Both players went in. I even feel Jordan was worse off, because if you saw the impacts that Jonathan Hogg had on him, that could easily have been a leg breaker. And you could see the shock on everybody's face, even the Huddersfield players, when he was given the red card. So I'm sure Swansea will appeal, and I'm sure they'll get something from that appeal, because this is a very crucial stage in the season, and he is their key player, their best player, as I've already said, and you can't afford to miss him for the next 3 games. A game that will also include Manchester United in the next game. They really need him for that game. And somebody who also needs him is his brother Andre, because if you look at the partnership between the two, they kind of complement each other, and the team really needs him, and I'm very sure they'll appeal, and I'm very sure they'll also get something from that appeal.
We'll see if Swansea will indeed get something from that appeal. But let's stay in England and let's go a little lower in the division. This time, let's talk about Albert Adoma. Back in the day, Kwesi Appiah was accused and called all sorts of names for giving Albert Adoma a look in the national team. Well, guess what? He's just about Aston Villa's most important player these days. 15 goals from a traditional winger. I am shocked. I am shocked. And look, the season is not even over. It looks as if he will possibly hit the 20th goal mark before the season ends. But talk to us about what has changed about the Adoma Kwesi Appiah used to invite, who used to get bashed by everybody, and this new version from 2 seasons ago, who has all of a sudden become a goal-scoring machine.
I think with Adoma, you have to credit the player himself. He's improved himself. He's improved the goal-scoring aspect to his game. He's traditionally a very quick winger. He has the pace, everything for I
always used to criticize him as somebody who could just hug the line and cross the ball. Hug the line and cross the ball.
And that's what, in modern day football, you need your players, especially forward players, wingers, to be able to add more to their game in terms of goals and assists. And if you are not giving in the goals, obviously your team will be worse off. And for me, I really need to credit the player. He's done very well for himself. You look at this Aston Villa team, they really, really needed somebody to come to the party after, obviously, their much publicized issues on and off the pitch in the previous seasons. Obviously, Jordan Ayew was even there. He moved away to Swansea. Everybody seemed to have been leaving that team for greener pastures, but he came in from Middlesbrough, a team that had gone to the Premier League, decided to step down. I
actually thought the man was nuts when he was making that decision.
I second you 100%. He came down to Aston Villa, and he's improved himself. As I said, he's he's evolved from that traditional winger. He now, if you watch him, he thrives, and he's always looking forward to be inside the box, sniff around and find those chances and put the ball in the back of the net. And I'm sure that's why the Aston Villa coach Steve Bruce is a big fan of him. 15 goals this season. He's one of the leading marksmen in the championship, one of the best players in the championship this season. And I'll not be shocked if he gets another call up to the Black Stars, because as I said, modern day players, forwards, you need goals, and the Black Stars, there's obviously a deficiency in goals in this Black Stars team. So I'm very sure Kwesi Appiah will give him a second look, and this time he will not be criticized for calling him.
Well, we'll see if that's what will happen with Albert Adoma. But let's head over to Hungary. This time, talk about Joseph Painter. He plays his football for Ferencvárosi. For those of you who don't know Ferencvárosi, it's in Hungary. It's one of those teams out there. Joseph Painter used to play his football with Tema Youth in Ghana before he departed. He's a forward, very skillful player. He's scored his 7th goal of the season over the weekend. Now, I mean, for those who don't know Joseph Painter, what type of player is he, and where do you possibly place his potential ceiling at?
For me, second, I have, this is the second player I need to credit. He's done very well for himself, because to transition from the culture of the Ghana Premier League straight, and it was actually mid-season, straight into Europe, into Hungary, the top team in Hungary at the moment. And just to cement yourself in that starting 11, the head coach is a huge fan of his. And I think you saw that goal he scored on his debut. That, for me, it was one of the goals of 2017. That's a brilliant goal. I can bet you that goal will be considered for the Puskás Award. Show some skill, some Maradona-esque skill in that. It was just crazy. Placed it in. That's the kind of quality he has. And I like players who look for the opportunity to showcase their skill. Players who have the confidence to showcase their skill in one-on-one situations, and that's what Joseph Painter can do. That's something that, for me, I feel, if I'm just to digress a little, I feel that if Christian Atsu adds that to his game, he'll be a far better player. Joseph Painter thrives on those one-on-one occasions, and it shows the skill and the pace he has in order to create and also score goals for his teammates. 7 goals this season so far in Hungary is not a bad return at all for somebody, obviously, as I said, who came from the Ghana Premier League straight into the Hungarian Premier League. But if you look at him and if you look at that team, they are on top of the league. If they manage to finish on top of the league, they are going into the Champions League play. It will take a long time. They have to play about 4 games to get to the group stages of the Champions League. But just to get that exposure in the Champions League knockout games is a huge lift for him, obviously, from the Ghana Premier League to the Champions League. So I think if he can maintain this form, obviously he's a key player for his team. If he can maintain this form, his team will obviously, maybe I'm very sure they will finish on top of that Hungarian Premier League, and we can hopefully see him in the Champions League one day.
Well, so Joseph Painter, let's go to Kazakhstan, where Patrick Chumesi plays his football for Astana. Now, he is up to a lot of heroics in the Europa League, and even at a point the Champions League. He's been invited to the Black Stars a couple of times, but he doesn't seem to be prominent. He doesn't seem to be one of those guys people seem to remember when you talk about Ghanaian players abroad, or even guys who have been brought into the national team in recent time. What is that missing thing about him? Because he's an immense player for his club.
Yeah, it's always very difficult for players to translate their club form to their national team. Even the best players in the world find it difficult to do that. A lot of the English players have been criticized for not being able to do that. Even the great Lionel Messi is often criticized.
I think playing for Astana plays a part.
I don't necessarily think so. I just feel he's not somebody who has been born and bred in Ghana football, and he doesn't necessarily understand the culture of the Black Stars yet. I think with time, as he continues getting these call-ups, some players grow into the national team. Sure. We've seen a couple of them. Even Ayew, when he started playing for Ghana, he didn't have the best.
Ghanaians used to bash him a lot about his play style.
Just a couple of years later, we were almost unplayable without him. We couldn't look at a Ghana team without Ayew. So I think it will take time for Patrick Chumesi to cement himself in this Black Stars team. But for his club form, I think he's been one of the best players in the Europa League. In fact, the European competitions this season, he scored over 10 goals in qualifiers from the Champions League qualifier. They got knocked out, dropped into the Europa League, and obviously they are out of the Europa League. But if you see the game against Sporting Lisbon and how they played, and he obviously got a goal in that game, although it led to them being knocked out of the tournament. He stamped his his authority on the European competitions. I'm not surprised that in January, a lot of clubs were after him, even FC Porto were after him, but they opted for Majeed Warris ahead of him. But he's made a name for himself this season. I'll not be surprised if he gets a big move away from Astana next season.
So Patrick Chumesi possibly to make a big move. Let's talk about Majeed Warris, who you mentioned a while ago, and he is still looking for his first goal for FC Porto. I don't know about what you feel about the opportunities he's been given, but again, this is a loan move, and with loan moves, you usually don't have a lot of time to make an impact. It doesn't look as if he is making the impact because, of course, you're a striker, you'll be judged by goals.
For his move, it's a loan move, but I think Porto, they also have an option to buy, and they are very interested in keeping him. It's the mindset behind his purchase, and I feel they didn't buy him as somebody who was coming to slot straight into the starting lineup, because obviously after he was signed, I did mention the fact that they had Marenga, they had Vincent Abubakar. These are top guys who know the Portuguese league, who are actually stars in the Portuguese league. You don't just come in and come and uproot these guys from the starting lineup. So it will take time. He needs to make use of the little opportunities that he gets in the Porto team. He's obviously not starting enough games. He just started one league game since he came. But we all knew it wasn't going to be easy. Abubakar and Marenga are not going to sit down on the bench for you to be playing. And when they get the chances, they score. So Majeed Warris really needs to understand that he has to work hard for his position in the team. It's not going to come easy for him because there's a lot of competition in that Porto team. And Porto are one of the top teams in Europe. They are on their way to another Portuguese league title. They are obviously they were in the Champions League and regular phase in the Champions League. So this is a huge step up for him, and he has to up his game if he wants to be at that level that FC Porto are in.
Well, we've taken you to Thailand, we've taken you to Portugal, and even to Hungary. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Guess what? We'll go over to Nigeria. Fatau Dauda is back on the radar. We'll come back, and then we'll tell you more about that.
If you are to read the historical text, you realize that even Yendi was formerly a Dagomba, it was formerly a Kokoba land. And then when the Gonjes battled the Dagombas in the old Yendi, now there's an old Yendi that is now no more used. So they were pushed to go to the new Yendi. And when they were pushed to go to the new Yendi, they also pushed the Asifolos because they don't have a standing army, they don't want to fight, so they just move across the Oti River.
There are these kinds of traditional alliances and relationships, okay? Some of us prefer to call this a joking relationship, okay? So two ethnic groups may strike this kind of joking relationship, goes back further in time, and which allows any individual who happens to belong in that group to be able to play and joke freely with a member of the counterpart group. So quite a number of them.
And we are back. Like I promised, we'll be heading over to Nigeria in a bit, where Fatau Dauda plays his football these days for Enyimba Football Club. But just before we do that, I'll read a few of your messages coming through from Facebook, and then Daniel will take us away to Niger land. Let me get to what's going on here. This one here is from Karim Nuruddin. He says, I really love this show. He's a fantastic player. He needs to improve himself to make the national team. Watching you live from Awoshi. I'm guessing you are talking about none other than Latif Blessing. This one here, coming through from Nana Yaosef from Pon, says, the moment Adoma got injured, Villa struggled. Now he's back with a bang. Okay, so keep those messages coming. Talk about your favorite players. I've spoken about DOMINIC ADIYIAH. We've spoken about Jordan Ayew getting sent off. We've spoken about Majeed Warris in Portugal. Hit us with your comments on exactly what you feel and what you think about these guys. Dan, let's come home to somewhere closer to us, Nigeria. Fatau Dauda, he's hung around the Black Stars for such a long time, but these days he's gone off the radar. We all thought that he was going to secure a move to Germany. There was some level of back and forth. Eventually he ended up in Enyimba. What's going on with Dauda?
Playing in the homeland of my favorite national team at the moment, the Super Eagles. But for Fatau Dauda, I think in general, Black Stars goalkeepers in recent years have not been regulars at club level, and I think it has gone against the team a lot. But you look at today, he's starting almost every game for Enyimba. You cross the go south to South Africa, and Richard Ofori is also starting almost every game for Maritzburg United. So in the goalkeeping sense for Black Stars, it's good news. But for Fatau Dauda, I think his qualities are, we all know his qualities. He's a top goalkeeper, except the occasional.
Is he still a top goalkeeper?
You see, come on. Goalkeeping is a position where it's not really determined or defined by.
You see, we always say cliched things like that. The older you go, the better you become. Does it apply to Dauda?
I certainly think so. I certainly think so. You look at Enyimba, for a club like Enyimba to be going for a keeper like Dauda, it just shows the qualities he has. Enyimba, obviously a top club in Africa. They've won the CAF Champions League on a couple of occasions. Most recently, they are one of the most dominant teams in the African Club Championship. So for them to cross the about 2 countries and come to Ghana and pick up Fatau Dauda, it shows that
he's been to a World Cup.
He's been to a World Cup, obviously, and he's kept post against the great Cristiano Ronaldo and almost actually kept a clean sheet against him. He's done some good things.
That's something to tell his kids about.
Exactly, and that's some good things to talk about when you come to Fatau Dauda. I think he's doing very well in the Nigerian league. It's way more competitive than Ghana. So if you are looking at
at least they are playing a league.
Yeah, exactly. And you are thinking that they might not be that good. Yeah. They are that good. And Enyimba, when they go to Africa, also show the quality that they have. So for him, I think it's good for him, and it's a step closer in his quest to return to the Black Star setup.
Is that going to happen?
The form he's showing, I'll not be surprised if he's selected, because you look at the Ghana setup right now. Apart from Richard Ofori, you look at Atizigi, he's not really getting regular
playing time.
You look at the local goalkeepers. The Ghana Premier League is not the best if you want to judge or rate your goalkeepers, and I think playing in Nigeria regularly in Nigeria for the top club in Nigeria is way better than playing in the Ghana Premier League. And I think after Richard Ofori, I think he comes next for me in terms of the hierarchy of Ghanaian players. Let's
finish off today's conversation in Switzerland. Young Boys Football Club is where KASSIM NUHU Adams plays his football. He's been all over the place. I mean, I've had conversations with him in the past. Former teammate of Marco Asensio. Yeah, former teammate of Marco Asensio, KASSIM NUHU. Young centre-back. These days, he's playing regularly, week in, week out. He's in the starting lineup for his team. Does this excite you, especially juxtaposing it against what's going on with the Black Stars, where we've had a centre-back pairing that's lasted such a long time? I'm talking about John Boy, Jonathan Mensah. We've had Amate come in recent times, but he's not been playing, so his position is sort of under a question mark. But talk to me a little about KASSIM NUHU and his prospects.
I feel we're at a stage in the country where we have a lot of young players doing very well in outside the country, and if looking forward in terms of the Black Stars, is some good news for us. We are at a point where we are kind of transitioning between the traditional, the old guys, and these new guys, and it's always very healthy to see young upcoming players who are getting featured regularly in their club side. KASSIM NUHU, for me, stands a huge chance of cementing his position in the Black Stars. As you mentioned, Amate, who's been playing at centre back, now he's having injury problems at Leicester City. He's not always featuring regularly. And to be playing in the Swiss league, which is also a top league, you look at a club like Young Boys, they've been in the UEFA Champions League and
or
the
Europa League at least.
In the past couple of seasons. So this is a team that are up there when it comes to the top teams in Europe. And to be featuring regularly for them, I think is a very good thing. He's a very strong, intelligent defender, and that's something that Ghana needs at the moment. The legs of John Boy and Jonathan Mensah are getting tired, and we need some new, fresh legs to come in. So I think if I was Coach Kwesi Appiah and I look at all the players we've mentioned, maybe with the exception of Dominic Ayew, I just had to say that, but maybe with the exception of Dominic Ayew, I look at this team and I'm most certain that I have a future of very strong, intelligent players who can carry me for about 5-6 years in this Black Stars team.
Let me read a couple more messages before we go. James Brown Quay says, tell Daniel that I'm proud of him. This one is coming through from Ukraine. So, Charlie, people are watching you from Ukraine. But you heard the man, Daniel Koranteng, say it all. Like I said, we took you to Thailand, where it's supposed to be a rice affair, but it wasn't. Dominic ADIYIAH was out there doing his thing. Nigeria, where Ghana's own Fatah Dawda also does his thing. You never know where we are going to take you next. Maybe, just maybe, we'll head over to South America. Yes, Ghanaian players are in South America. There are players everywhere you can think about. Lift a rock and you will find a Ghanaian player there. It's been a pleasure coming your way with the tracker today. Benjamin Nketia here. Daniel Koranteng did this with me. We'll catch you next week, same time, with another episode.